All right. Yeah, absolutely. We might move some things around, but just to make sure that we get you all out of here by like 2:35, we can get forward. So maybe just 1:35. Thank you, not 2:35 for the beginning. So maybe ask me some questions about what type of activity you don't want to do, but we're going to talk about productivity and career plans. Is this not working? Okay, so personalized career and work plans. The only primer for this is I'm going to be sharing a lot of personal examples of how I do this, how I approach my own work-life balance, how I approach my own time management, and these are things that I've learned, and I'm going to give you all tools to hopefully figure out what works best for you. But what works best for me is probably not what works best for you. For example, in college, if I wanted to do homework, I can't work at night, so I would wake up at like 6 in the morning and do homework, which is not for everybody. So what works for you may not work for you. So try and think about your own strengths, preferences, and that'll really help you out here. All right, so work-life balance. What does that mean? What does work-life balance mean, just in general?
Your work of school with having outside life, have a friend, and have yourself. Like you could work on the weekend or work during the day and not class during the day and have the weekend on.
Yeah, those competing things that have going on in your life. Absolutely. Being organized, absolutely. We're definitely going to talk about that for sure.
Okay, let me summarize like personal life
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Having like that two sides of you, probably even more than just two sides, and balancing those out for sure. So you all really hit most of the key points. The only thing that I want to highlight outside of that is balance is self-defined and subject to change. What your balance looks like right now will look different from mine and Marissa and Mariah. It's going to look different. But that's okay. It's self-defined and subject to change. What your balance looks like right now is going to look different than it will in 2 years, and sure as heck different than it will in 5 years. Make sense? Beautiful. All right. And so you can establish balance. It's hard, but you have to be really self-reflective about yourself and what your preferences are. So you can start by determining your priorities and correctly identifying and leveraging your strengths and preferences. All right. We're going to, this is an activity that we will not have time for to actually do, but we will talk about it and I will pass out. So if you want to do this on your own, you do have access to it here in the paper form, and we also gonna have this on the Google Classroom. So there are, like what Caitlin was saying, there's lots of the personal, the professional, there's competing things. You know, there are things going on in your life that are gonna want your attention. You have to choose. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions. And a way to do this a little bit more easily is if you rank your priorities in different categories. So you've got your top priority, middle, and then whatever is left over. And so just by being self-reflective and thinking about this, before you have to make a hard decision, once you're in a hard decision, it's just like, okay, I am at a part in my life where I am prioritizing my career. I want to have a nice job. Like that is what's important to me. Then if you have to choose between going to a concert and studying or doing your job or attending a work event, it's still a hard decision, but your priorities are already listed out, and that can change. So right now, my main priority is probably my family, my relationship. But when I was an undergrad, it was my education. So these things will change, and at different points in your life, being cognizant of these priorities can help you just make decisions more easily, especially when they're hard decisions. All right, what questions do we have about this? Do we want to take time and do this activity? Or do we want to move on to other stuff like time management tools, task management, things like that? Move on, okay. All right, so the nitty-gritty. So we won't talk too much about this, but like I said, this is personalized. It's about what works for you. So think about your work style, and I'll use some personal examples again. And if someone else is comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear. But so what time of day do I feel most productive? I already said I cannot work at night. I can barely work in the afternoon. Right now, I'm struggling. But in the morning, if any of you have ever had a morning meeting with me, I'm probably a little annoying because I'm just like, good morning. So that's when I work best. And I know that about myself. So if I've got a big assignment, I'm going to wake up early and do it, not stay up late because I won't function. That's me. And what type of work environments I find most productive. Some people, and this was really big when COVID first hit and a lot of people got moved remote. Some people cannot work without direction or supervision or a team kind of holding them accountable. So just, and that's fine. Just know who you are and what you do best with and kind of adjust accordingly. So before you move on from this, I know I'm flying, but before you move on from this, does anything kind of stick out to you in terms of, oh, like I actually work better at this time, or I work better with this type of group? What'd you say, Z? Nighttime? I feel like that's more common, like night. Do we have night owls? Show of hands. Morning, night? Yeah. I don't know why, Taylor, but I really felt like you were going to be a night owl. But yeah, so just being mindful. And a lot of times we assume it has to be a 9 to 5 job. We have to wake up at 8 a.m. and go to work. A lot of jobs, like you can flex your hours around, and especially in college, undergrad and graduate school, you cannot schedule early morning classes if you don't want to. So just being mindful of how you work best and catering to your schedule and your preferences, excuse me. Okay. Now, welcome. Now we are going to talk about some space management. This is huge. So obviously, if we could all be just rocking out on a beach, in the woods, wherever your happy, chill place is, we would be doing that, but we work to make money. So it is what it is, but a big part of just being productive is having a workspace that you really want to be in as much as possible. And this will be different for every employer and every type of space. So in office, decorating your space in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So, I mean, if you don't want to have your family pictures out, don't have your family pictures out, but having just your favorite mug or like a plant, something that makes the space feel like yours and you're just a little bit more comfortable in it, can just really boost your mood and your productivity in that space. Home office, this is huge, huge, huge. Create distinct work and living spaces, because it can be so hard on your mental health to work constantly. And then when it's time to turn off for the day, you're in the same space and you're still got your work brain on. You need to relax. So creating distinct spaces. So separate room is great, but I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have just a separate room sitting around in my house. So that's not an option for me, but not eating and taking breaks at my desk. Go sit on the couch, go sit on your bed, go sit somewhere else and like just have that space for you to not be in that headspace. And then even something as simple as having like a different work and play screen on the device. Like my husband really loves to play video games, but he works on his computer for his job and then he goes and plays games. So there needs to be something there that like tells your brain, we are not working right now. Don't be in that headspace. Make sense? Beautiful. Public spaces. Love this one. If you are someone who has a home office and you can't like mentally, that's not separating for you, or you want to co-work with people, but you work in different spaces, or you work in different companies, they're just your friends, public spaces. There are places that are free and places that cost some money, or you have to buy like a beverage or something, like coffee shops. Co-working spaces are really, really common now since the pandemic. And then places like libraries are very free, and like the Ugly here on campus, they have dual monitors. So you bring your computer, you plug it in, you have 2 screens. So just be mindful of how you work best and set up that space in a way that feels good for you. What questions can I answer about this? Beautiful. Okay. I know I feel like I'm lecturing at you all. I'm very sorry, but just want to hit some of these key points. So general space management, again, personal to you, broken record here. But for me, if my space is dirty, my mental is dirty. Like I need to clean it up and have a tidy headspace to like have a clear headspace. I didn't mean for it to rhyme, but I really got it. So just be mindful of how you think best, how you work best, and then kind of adjust your space accordingly. Consider light and noise. I can't work in a cave. I have to have all the windows open, sunlight streaming in so that I can feel good. I know people that if the windows are open, they're out staring outside, they are not getting any work done. So just be mindful of who you are and what makes you feel good. And this includes digital spaces, and we'll post this on the Google Classrooms, of course, but email and inbox folders. So keep it tidy, keep it organized for you. Have separate inbox folders in your email. I can tell you all how to do that and put that in the slides for you, but just keeping these spaces a little bit more clear, a little bit more organized, it feels less chaotic and stressful. That makes sense? Yeah. And if you don't have to spend 20 minutes looking for a file, which I definitely haven't done, you're more productive. Task. Okay. So task management, so easy. You know your tasks, you organize your tasks, but easier said than done. So we'll talk about old-fashioned lists, and then we'll talk about some apps and digital task managers, and all the apps and digital task managers are hyperlinked in the slides so that you can all have access to them. All right, so organizing your to-do list, that sheet everyone has, it's very similar. If you make a to-do list and it's like 15 things long, I don't know about you, but I can't. It makes me feel anxious, it stresses me out, I get overwhelmed. So something that I do that's really helpful is organizing them into A, B, and C, but not just by what I want to do. Because like sometimes those easy tasks are lots of fun, and sometimes the hard tasks are not very fun. So urgent and important. It has to be that it's really important to get it done for whatever reason, and it has to be done by a specific time. And then urgent and not important, still a timeline, maybe not as important, so now number one. And then finally, important but not urgent. So still on the list, but no time. Make sense? This can just kind of help you get started on your tasks and know how you want to get things done. And then utilizing apps, for similarly, if you're someone who's like, I don't want a pen and paper, or a lot of these apps, you can check it off and it'll do a fun little decal on the screen. It's a good time. But thank you for smiling and laughing at my jokes, I appreciate you. But so there's lots of different stuff, and these are just a few. You can find a lot more online, but there's some that are specific for individual projects, like Todoist, for group projects and tasks, Asana, Trello, and Monday. I know people who use Trello and Monday, and they really like them. I'm an Asana girly. I think it's great. It hooks up with your Google Calendar, so all your tasks go on your calendar. I'm a big fan. But and then apps that you may already be using, like Google Calendar, iPhone and Android reminders, things like that, that you already have on your phone or you may already be using, they have task functions. You can like block off time to do tasks. So just being mindful of what you use. I don't know about you, but I use my phone. Hello. So using that tool that I already have in my pocket all the time to make my life easier. And then completing the dreaded tasks. Who's had something on their to-do list that they're like, don't want to do it? It's going to take me an hour, 2 hours, but I'm just going to stay there because I hate it. But valid. So just being mindful of what works best for you. Again, this is my style, but I've got two options. Sometimes I just got to get that crappy one out of the way, get the worst thing out of the way, and then I feel better about the rest of the tasks. That's my first try. Now, if I still am like, I'm not doing it, I can't, I don't want to do it, then I'll do a couple of easy tasks to like kind of boost up my ego a little bit and like get stuff done, I'm doing great, and then I'll hit the big one. So like even for me, I have something like this is my first one. I always want to get the crap out of the way first. That's my style. That's what makes me feel good, but that doesn't always work for me. So I kind of have like a plan B for myself. So just knowing how you work and letting that work for you, if that makes sense. What questions can I answer about this or anything else that I've talked about so far? I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for talking at you all. So we're going to hit some time management apps, and I think we might have a couple minutes for work plans. Sound good? Good. Okay. So time management apps. If you struggle to manage your time, do not reinvent the wheel. There are so many things that already exist that can help you. So time management. I'm a big fan of the Google Calendar apps. These are and then there's Apple and Android calendars as well. These are great because you can color code them. You can share them if you have friends or family that you want to have know what's going on with you. If you have a project or a work team like the SummerWorks staff, we use a shared Google Calendar to have a work schedule. So letting those time management apps that are already in your phone work for you. Productivity apps. So I've got two kinds for you here, and they're red because they're hyperlinked so you can see them. So if you want to see how you're spending your time, so kind of like habit trackers, like
First of all, I'm not an Android user, so I'm not sure, but I know Apple has, it just monitors your screen time, so you can check that on your phone. I would imagine Android does too. But you can also use apps like Rescue Time, Streaks, and Have It Now. And they each have something a little bit different, but they all have free versions of the apps to kind of check what you're doing and how often you're on your phone. And these can be for the phone or for your laptop. So if you're wanting to track your habits there. And then block distractions with these apps. So how these apps work, you can either put them on your computer or your phone. One of them, I forget which, you can, once you put it on one and you stick it to another device, it blocks on both devices. So if you're like, no YouTube on my laptop, I'm gonna go on my phone, the ad block will be like, can't do that. So basically how they work is you put in what websites you want to block, you put for what time chunks. If you're like, I need to work on this project for 2 hours, you can set the ad blocker or the distraction block to go up for 2 hours. So some of you just kind of help you if you know you're someone who likes to pick up the phone, and I suppose with Pinterest a lot, I really can't help it. But and then finally, alarms. There's the really standard alarm apps on smartphones that you can set reminders to do tasks, especially reoccurring tasks. If this is the only one I could think of, and it feels silly, but it is really true. Growing up, it was my job to take out the trash, but I would always forget. So I had a calendar reminder every Wednesday. Oh, here's a relevant reminder. I'm really bad at submitting my timesheets. I have a reminder on my phone to submit my timesheet, or else I'm not getting paid because I will not remember. So just letting those work for you. But you say, Tabitha, I really struggle with just ignoring my alarm clock. I'll just hit snooze. I'll just hit stop. Alarm clock puzzle. So this one's great. It's another app, Apple or Android, and it is free. That you set the alarm in this app, and it's not just any alarm. You have to use the alarm from this app. And to get the alarm to stop making sound, you must complete a puzzle. And you choose what kind of puzzle. So I would not be choosing a math puzzle because that thing would bring indefinitely, but something else I might do. So it's very customizable. You can choose what you do just to kind of be productive in that way. What questions can I answer about any of these tools or any of these kind of tips and tricks I've talked about? Okay. Best practices for time management. I've been talking at you all for so long, so I'm just going to ask, what do we think is the most important thing for you here? Just think about yourself. What's the most important thing listed here? And I'm gonna ask, son, once you're done reading these, which one do you think like that one I need to like take in?
Build a schedule for yourself and follow it, because I know for me, like sometimes I build a schedule, but I don't like hold myself to it. So yeah, I think
yeah, absolutely. So that first step is there of like setting the schedule, but now it's like finding a way to like hold the accountability there. Wonderful, thank you. And then Victoria, which of these do you feel like is like really important for you in particular?
Yeah, there's a lot of these and then I'm like, still trying to overachieve.
Absolutely, I've definitely found myself there too. Anyone else want to share? Beautiful, thank you all. Okay, so we're gonna think about career and work plans, and we don't have a single time to think about this, so I'm just going to describe what it is and I'll pass them out to you all. So we've got actually two things here, a work plan and a career plan. The career plan is a bit more specific and a bit more helpful, I would say. So basically, it's just a way to kind of write down on paper and think about who you are, you know, what your strengths are, what your interests are, what your values are, what your likes and dislikes are. So that's step one. I'm just gonna hold it up and show. So that's step one. And then step two is thinking about the career options with all of that in mind, things that you could potentially do. And then making choices. So this is kind of like goal setting, but thinking about ways that you could make this goal happen of getting into a job or a career field that suits your interests and your preferences. But yeah, and that's it. Those are all the steps. Beautiful. Any questions that I can answer about this before we break off the cohort? Yeah. You do not. So this was just meant to be an activity for your own edification, your own learning. But we don't have time to do that. Pizza.
We might work on it in reflection groups.
Yeah. So we might work on it in reflection, and I'm gonna give it to you, and we'll have copies on Google Classroom. So even if you're like in 2 years, like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I need to make a career plan. Well, we got you. You may have ordered you guys one. Somebody else needs another one. Yeah. Oh, I need this. Yeah. Did I just type what I did? Excuse me, Dara. I just wanted to be. So we might, like I said, like Ben said, we might work on this in reflection, but this is just something for you. Okay. Well, that's all right. And then, so we are gonna break into cohorts now. I do have one other optional little like activity if it's something you want to have on deck for yourself. It's just a personalized work plan. So rather than a career plan, it's looking at a specific project or task you're working on. You can get this.
Do we have time sheets up here?
What's that?
Did we bring the time sheets up here at all?
They're downstairs, but we're gonna go down. Yeah, because I think we got some people.
Very sorry. I'm very sorry right now. Okay. Beautiful. Does anyone else want a personalized work plan? You do not have to have one. Got one for Gina. Actually, can I just type you? Okay. And plenty of extra moment. All right. So Ben and Dallas, are you gonna do you want to talk about this?
No, we only have 20 minutes. I think we'll just go into our groups. By the time we even our groups are teams.
Yeah. I was gonna say, now.
I'm gonna grab a bunch of this though.
Yeah.
And you probably just.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. All right, Ben, everyone but my cohort, goodbye. Miss you. Thank you so much. This is like, okay, I'm gonna get right. Come back now. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, thanks.